Welcome to Full Fashion Finish Strong Friday. And of course, it's April, it's almost Masters Week. And as many of you are already beginning to see, the pollen is beginning to fall, beginning to wreak a little bit of havoc with my sinuses, but that and a little bit of travel. But as I've been talking about the last few weeks, spring is the perfect time after the end of the first quarter to begin to review your objectives, your strategies, and your tactics, and to make sure that you're on target to be able to hit all the goals that you've set for 2014. So this being part 3, we're going to continue today with the target and the tactics, hitting your intended target. So as we've talked about each week, do you actually have objectives and goals? Do you have a target? And if you don't know where you are going, you will probably end up somewhere else. So I've gotten some testimonies this week from people that said, you know what, Brandon, I've started to evaluate and evolve my strategies and begun to evaluate and evolve my tactics. And I feel like now I have a better chance of getting where I'm supposed to be. And that is the point. It's not like any of these slides are going to be a magic or silver bullet to get you past all the challenges into the land of triumph, but it is designed to make you be introspective and reflective over what's already occurred in the first part of the year and what you can do to change the outcome toward the ending. So 2 things are going to determine if you hit your established target. How good is your aim and how good is your weapon? And I know this is a review of the last couple of weeks, but I want to make sure for those of you that this is your first session, that you understand what we're intending to accomplish here. And if you need to, go back to the previous 2 weeks' features. So to hit your target, 3 things have to be aligned. Your objectives, the goals, the target, the strategies, the high-level approach to what it is that you're actually going to do to meet that objective, and ultimately, your tactics, the things you do on a day-to-day basis. So when we think about that objective, and once it's been established, the strategy is the aim that sets you in the right direction. And then the weapons are your tactics. What are you doing every day? What bullets are you putting into your chamber? What arrows are you pulling from your quiver to fire Monday through Friday, including Saturday, 9 to 5, or in an extended amount of time during each day and each work week? So that's the key to being able to meet your objectives. And we used last week and the week prior $100,000 annual income as an objective. And again, you'll insert your own personal financial objective into this worksheet, this workshop, and begin to cater it to what's going on in your situation. But what we did here is we looked at the target, $100,000, and the tactics, or more specifically in this example, the strategies. So again, we affixed half of our annual goal, $50,000, to direct mail, which is a great strategy if that's what you can use in your particular industry or your business. So that objective of $50,000 for that portion of our annual target, if we can average $500 in commission per item, we need 100 clients. So what strategically do we need to get to those magical 100 clients? Well, if we have a close rate historically of 60%, then we need 167 presentations. This is simple math. Now, if using the medium of direct mail, we normally get a 40% appointment rate, then we need 418 qualified opportunities through the lead program. So based on a 1% response rate to all the leads that we send out, that means we need 41,800 direct mail opportunities. Now again, depending on your industry, depending on the variables that I've talked about, response rates, appointment rates, close rates, your actual numbers will be different. But this exercise is designed to allow you to see the strategic creation that will get us toward our objectives. But if you notice here in this arrow, the 41,800 direct mail pieces is all still ultimately part of the strategy. But now that we know what we need to meet our objective, we've got to begin the tactical elements, and that begins here. So tactics, where we start moving the pieces to meet our strategy, which ultimately does what? Takes us to our objective. That's the key to playing this game of chess in your business. So then we've got to get down to brass tactics, a little bit of a play on words. And again, for every industry, for every business, there's going to be a little bit different nuance or variation to this, but there's really sort of 4 key components that you've got to work with. Number 1 is budget. When you think about 41,800 pieces of mail, some of you are scratching your head saying, Brandon, I don't have the budget for that. So you have to ask yourself first and foremost, what will it cost me? And then, based on the results, which we'll talk about here in a moment, the cash flow proposition. Now, yes, if you had to pay for 41,800 pieces of mail, or 42,000 to round that up, all at once, that would be ludicrous, that wouldn't make sense, and you likely wouldn't have the money. But if I told you that you needed to drop your first 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and that the cash flow you received created a net operating opportunity for you to continue to seed your direct mail campaign, that would make sense. So budgetarily, you've got to look at what does it cost and what is my cash flow proposition. But then there's the execution, specifically in this case, the execution of the direct mail strategy in a tactical manner. You've got to set the expectations. What is the response rate? What is the appointment rate? And you've got to be able to know that those are going to feed in to the strategic outline and your objectives. You've got to set up timetables. When are you going to do what? Are you going to front load the year, which I do recommend? Are you going to leave some room at the end of the year for a little bit of variability, for a little bit of catching up or slowing down if things go better than you anticipated? But once you begin to execute and implement the strategy via these tactics, you've got to manage what you're dealing with. You've got deliverables, things that you've got to give to the direct mail company, or things that you've got to get back from them. There's dealing with the vendors at large. Is it just the direct mail house, or is it a telemarketing center? How many people do you need to bring together in partnership to execute the tactics and manage those people? But then this is absolutely the most critical part. It's after you spent the money. It's after you've got the mail out in the environment that your demographics have suggested. It's after you've begun to manage the vendors and gotten it all launched. You have to monitor. Honestly, this is where a lot of people don't do it. A lot of salespeople just say, well, I only got 5 leads and I only closed 1. You've got to take a closer look. So as you see the results, you can decide what needs to be expanded and what needs to be involved. So these are the 4 critical areas for me in a tactical sense based on the strategies that we've outlined: the budget, execution, managing, and monitoring. So now don't let this spreadsheet or this particular slide scare you at all. What I'm really trying to demonstrate here are a few things. Number 1, it's about monitoring and measuring. So we've got our 12 months, and I would suggest that anytime you do objectives, you don't just look at the next 30 days or the next 3 days or the next 1 day. You look at the year as a whole. So you list all of your months. And then you, yes, very arbitrarily just divide up the amount of revenue that's needed to seed your direct mail campaign. In this case, $1,680 a month for the first 10 months. Again, leaving some variability of catching up or slowing down in October, November. Again, seasonality of your particular business may dictate something different cyclically, but you know how to manage that part of it. But then we have to have the measured, anticipated results for the number of leads, number of appointments, number of sales. And when we do it graphically and visually, once we begin to see our results, we're going to know that if we're in a plus or minus arena. If we're doing more than we anticipated, congratulations. Or if we're doing less and we need to adjust. But then we put in our monthly revenue that's anticipated, and when we minus out the cost, we get an initial net operating number. Now that number's not all profit, but what it does tell you is what you have available to do more of something, or what you have available to be able to bring to the bottom line. So I suggest that you do something on an annual basis to review. You have something that outlines the metrics that you're going to measure, in this case the cost monthly, the leads, appointments, and sales. And then you begin to do the cash flow analysis, which is the revenue you take in minus the expenses. And then ultimately you aggregate all of that down at the bottom level where you see the totals, and at a glance you can see what the year should look like. And based on that, we're going to generate the $50,000 in revenue that we had segmented into the direct mail campaign. So again, I don't want you too mired in the numbers and the specifics, because your industry will be different. If you need to go to a manager or need to go to other people that work with you to have them help you decide what's good to track, what's good in terms of the outcomes, what are the standards that have been set for your business, you then know that you're spending money the right way. But spending money is only the beginning. And as I alluded to earlier, I know a lot of people who do great things by way of trying to generate leads and opportunity, but there's a few things after they spent the money, they simply sit back and let whatever will be, will be. Some of you understand that from one of my daily sales crumbs. But after you spent the money, you've got to monitor and manage to the expected, anticipated results. What gets measured gets done. Inspect and expect. Trust but verify, all the cliches. And if something is working and you've got extra revenue and extra capacity to take on extra work, expand it. Do more of it, because that may be the thing that compensates you for the October, November, December time frames where things may naturally slow down, or you've run out of money to invest, or you won't be able to recapture the opportunities before the end of the year. But whatever is working, do more of it. And if something is not working, or it's challenging, or not producing as well as something else, number one, evolve it. If direct mail is not getting a 1% response rate, you might simply need to change the list that you use, the income criteria, or other demographic filters. But you might actually need to change the type of mail that you're sending. And if you're working with a good creative direct mail house, hopefully they've got options for you based on the product and the products that you're trying to market. But at some point, as you monitor and measure, you may simply need to eliminate certain options. So now, I know that was fast and furious, and as I'd mentioned, I wanted to be quick with these sessions because the main goal for me is to jog your mind, to get you to think about your business, your objectives, your strategies, and your tactics, knowing that without a plan, you are planning to fail. So don't get too caught up, as I've mentioned now several times, in the way that I just outlined it. But understand that if you apply the science of selling, the areas where you know that if I spend $1 and spend it in a particular manner, it's going to generate this many opportunities. And then based on your artful skill, the art of selling, you'll be able to convert those clients into raving fans, get repeat business, referrals, and to begin to meet that final objective of at least six-figure incomes or whatever your particular objective might be. So next week, we're going to go just a little bit deeper. If you can imagine, yes, we're going to go a little bit deeper into the targets and the tactics to make sure that as you begin to evaluate and evolve, expand and explode through the E4 process, that you do all the things necessary to build a sustainable, scalable business. So I thank you for your attention this week, and I appreciate all the feedback I've received over the last few sessions. And to those of you that are beginning to do some of the things that I'm outlining, great success to you. But as always, this is Brandon Clay wishing you money, power, success.